I thought it will not work on desktop. What I knew was it will only work on iOS 8 with AR kit, but it seems to be working on desktop too.
You look like you're in outer space. That's fun.
Yeah.
Hello. So this is a funny hour for me to be dialing in because I usually am not in at this hour. So I have no idea who's going to show up because when I usually do the other time slot, which doesn't work.
It's funny. I'm actually like, yeah. I was hoping to get out of the office early, and now it's like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna take this, but you guys have fun. Like, I'm still not paying attention to this right now.
So you're supposed to be on the golf course, aren't you?
I am. Here, let me.
Oh, you are. Wow.
So yes, I am out on the golf course right now.
That's quite fun. So we've got all sorts of things going on in parallel, and I think that's kind of characteristic of our alumni community. We're not like in the boot camp context where everyone is just focused on one thing. We're all doing other stuff. So yeah, so I was saying I'm not really sure like who's going to actually join because quite typically also people sometimes confirm and then they either have last minute commitments or they forget or whatever. So so I think this is, were you able to look at the write-up from last week? What we kind of, because it's a little bit tricky to be progressing this in the sense that we kind of go forward a few steps and then we slide back a few steps again. So what I wanted to kind of look at with you together is to see what the situation is at the moment and maybe decide, because I've also heard a few voices. I always kind of get trapped with the negative voices, or not, let's not call them negative, but the questioning voices. So some people were saying, but why are you doing like a 24-hour project instead of doing maybe a 24-week project? And why is it like 24 hours nonstop? And how is that going to work? And what will happen if nobody comes or just 2 people participate in a time slot? And what do you do if there are gaps? So that's kind of what I wanted to bounce around with you who are here today. And then maybe we take this conversation also back into the platform. And so maybe one thing that might be good to start with is just like, if we each share what kind of a vision we have for this, because, you know, we might be also having different ideas as to what this project means. So just to see if we're aligned, and if we do see that there's like an underlying common objective, then we can also look at whether this is the best way to achieve it, or is it just one solution and what would be the others? Because one of my concerns is also we still have gaps in the timeline. I'm not 100% sure they will be filled up, because in the digital space, it's, as we were saying, you know, people can just click yes, and then you don't really know at the end like what the show up rate is. We've just run with my online event, which had a lot of, how would you say? So we had 1,000 people sign up. We were only giving away 500 seats, but it was it was published on Eventbrite and it was free. So the spaces were filled in less than 24 hours, but this is the second time we run it, and typically 50% of the people will actually show up. So it's kind of a juggling game. So we have to kind of know what we're in for and be very aware, and then decide like, well, maybe we can vote on it on something. Hi Maria, hi Andres, hi Shantanu. For once, Shantanu has been participating in a call once with us. It was his 2 a.m. So, and we have Ben who's on a golf course, and someone else said he would be joining from his office, so he's only going to be typing in the chat. So we'll be reading out his ideas and his observations. Cool. So there are actually 8 of us, which is nice. But I think that on my Google Calendar, I got, and between the Google Calendar and the event, the show up should have been something like 15 people. So yeah, it's usually 50%. So I was saying, yeah, we had this online thing and people sign up, and then 50%, which is actually high because some people tell me that free events usually have a 30% of show up rate. So yeah, so the few points I'll just quickly recap again. So what I felt like it would be good to discuss today, but please add to the list if you can think of anything else, is to define the objectives. So what attracted you about this 24 steps in 24 hours idea, if at all? Or maybe you're here to say, like, this is crazy, why are we doing this? So all the voices are welcome. And then we review the situation quickly. I have this timeline with the gaps we're still seeing. Maybe we just try and do a projection together. What do we do in a worst case scenario? Like we have an hour that's completely empty. What do we do with that? And who can hold which part? Because I'm thinking maybe no one's superhuman enough to hold 24 hours nonstop. What are the alternatives to doing a 24 hours in 24 steps in 24 hours? Do we want to look at that? Is this the first iteration? Do we just go for it? And then we define tasks and assign roles. So who can commit 100% or 99% to something? And how do we then set up an accountability? I think you all remember the RACI model, right? Like responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. So since not everyone knows each other too, maybe we do these three things. We say who we are, where we're dialing in from, which bootcamp class we took part in. Maybe just one word or two about what industry you're working in or what your passion is at the moment, and what has attracted you to the 24 hours project, and how you envision it being ideally. And maybe I can start, and then I'll pass the talking stick to someone. So hi, my name is Rachel Hensch. I live in Rome, Italy. I'm a boot camper from class 3, which is the first off-campus boot camp that took place in South Korea in the city of Seoul. And I am passionate about community building and connecting dots where I see potential. So I sometimes describe myself as either herding cats or weaving threads together to help to create a fabric. And why was I attracted to the 24 hours? It was an idea that once Tommaso just kind of threw into one of the meetings. And for some reason, it just sparked my interest because it sounded like a challenge, 24 hours nonstop. It was numerically fun because it relates to the 24 steps. It sounded like something, difficult, challenging, but not impossible. And I thought, wow, yeah, this is boot camper stuff, so let's go for it. And we kind of just took the plunge and said, let's see what happens. And I will pass it to Philippos. Are you able to? Oh, maybe Philippos, did you say you weren't able to speak? I can't remember. Can you? Oh, wow. Hi, you need to unmute yourself. Or actually, I will unmute you. There we go. No, I can't unmute you. You're in the tube. So maybe connections coming and going. And I know, Abhijit, you said you're in the office, so if you want to type, or did you type already? So Abhijit, if you want to type your little intro and we'll read it out, and then in that case, Philippos is frozen, I think. I'll pass it over to TC. Can you speak, TC?
She's not dialed in with audio, I guess. It's just video, looks like.
Oh, right. Okay. Then why don't you talk, Gagan?
Yeah, so I'm Gagan. I just went to the recent bootcamp which happened in Brisbane, 2019. I think that's class 10, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so I was with Shantanu. Yeah, so I work as a front-end engineer here in Bangalore, India. So yeah, my passion, I am interested in AI and machine learning and distributed computing. I did my master's in that field, and I'm looking to venture into that field. It so happens that we are starting a new team in the current company where I'm working to take over this initiative, the organization. Yeah, that's about me. Yeah, the idea of 24. Yeah, it even stuck me well because what happens in boot camp, right? It just happens in 1 week, and you go through everything. So if I have to just compare with a 24 weeks thing, probably it would be very hard for me to plan and attend even 10 weeks out of it, because there is so many things happening in my life. It's very easy for me to just sit for 24 hours, plan easily for 24 hours compared to like 24 weeks. That's how I looked at it, and I also felt it's very challenging and interesting. Uh, yeah, it's also fun, as you mentioned, that 24 steps to 24 hours, and it kind of brings that energy of the boot camp back in us. So that's something I liked.
Thank you. I really like that framing because, yes, probably in many ways a 24-week thing would be maybe much more difficult to pull off because it's less crazy, and it maybe also heightens the bar of the expectations. But yeah. Perspective. Thanks. Do you want to choose who to pass the stick to, the talking stick?
To Maria?
Yes, I just had to unmute me first. Yes, so I'm Maria, and I'm from Denmark. I work at Copenhagen Business Academy teaching innovation and entrepreneurship using the 24 steps framework. I attended the Bootcamp 4 as well as the Teacher Bootcamp 2 that was right after Bootcamp 4. So I've been teaching using the discipline entrepreneurship framework since August 2016, right after I came back from the bootcamp. So we have been running the program for about 4 times now, I think. And of course, I just keep learning new approaches, new challenges. As we become better as teachers, the students also become better because we manage to frame it better. But then new situations pops up, and those are challenges that I feel like I can't really answer. So that's why I reached out about a month ago to the community, because I would like a more professional example to use to the students, because right now I'm just using their work and they are at a very novice level, so it would be very good for them to actually get to know the whole framework much better if I have a really, really good case to show them. And that's why when this chance came up that we were going to go through the 24 steps in 24 hours, I was thinking this is a good way for me to actually become familiar very fast with what's going on internationally in terms of how well the whole framework is used, but also what are the challenges in other countries or other places. We're the only academy or the only school in Denmark that is using the full 24 steps. So I can't really reach out here, and I think it's even a better opportunity to actually be able to reach out in the community. So that's why I want to participate as well as handling a few of the steps during the 24 hours. I don't know if I can attend all 24 hours, but I will definitely attend as many as I can, or my energy will let me. And I will. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just to comment on that. We're hoping. I'm not sure how to do this technically because we'll be using my Zoom account, but we're hoping to record it somehow, all of it, so that then we can edit it into all the parts that could be useful, and maybe create a video library that we can all then refer back to. And then if we find the task force, we could also maybe do transcripts. And so basically, yeah, if we can get the recordings, it could potentially be like a really good, interesting archive. Sorry to interrupt.
Exactly. But the thing is that I chose the steps where, I don't know, I would say I would find the most challenging, but where I can feel the students are going in so different directions. But I would have questions for every step, because there's so many things that, since I have, the only way I used the 24 steps myself was what we had to do as preparation for the boot camp. So that means that I'm pretty much only involved in actual teaching. So I haven't tried it on my own body, whereas I know that that's where you really learn. So that's why I'm really eager to hear from those of you that are using it in real life situations. All right, so I'll pass it on to TC. Or it's frozen, so maybe he's not.
Yeah, we can't really. TC is our mystery apparition today.
Okay, let me just see who else. Ben Podbielski.
On a side note, hi Rachel, what's up? Hi guys.
Hey.
Hi.
Okay, so let me step away from the course. So my name is Ben Podbielski. I'm actually from Birmingham, Alabama, in the United States. I am currently calling from a golf course. So that's where I am today. So I work for a company called Protective Life. We do life insurance, annuities, and other areas inside that InsurTech area. My big focus for the 24 steps was just trying to continue to be involved with the bootcamp community. I thought that was something extremely powerful. I was part of the Tokyo cohort that just finished up in April. I really enjoyed the experience, really enjoyed the camaraderie, enjoyed learning. I felt like everybody pushed each other, and I felt like this was another chance to continue to push myself and get a chance to push other people. So that's why I wanted to continue to be involved. Let's see, my area of focus. So I work in the innovation department for the company, and my big focus right now is artificial intelligence. We've been doing a lot of things in that area. We're continuing to try and figure out ways to bring up a laggard industry into the 21st century and kind of push this idea of entrepreneurship. So inside a corporation, entrepreneurship. So that's really what we're kind of focusing on right now. So I think the only thing I'd really like to see out of this, I like the idea of a deliverable at the end. So actually having the videos recorded, having documentation related to it, I like that idea to continue to use and like provide to other people as a way to reference later on. Let's see. I don't know who. See, it looks like Wayne's on, so I'll pass it over to Wayne.
Oh, thanks, Ben. Hey, everyone. So again, I'm Wayne. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer for CG Global. We have a group of companies around the globe specializing in predominantly construction, oil and gas, but also drones, robotics, and different bits of kit and tech. My job is to solve problems that the groups have using different bits of technology, AI, VR, AR, whatever it is, or just looking at different business systems. My biggest focus or takeaway from the 24 for 24 is similar to Ben's, because we've only just recently done the boot camp, so we finished the Tokyo one this year. So we're still relatively new to the alumni network and seeing how it works, seeing how people interact. So for me, there's a lot of benefit in having like-minded people who are at the same sort of level when it comes to tech and innovation, especially entrepreneurship. Input into it, I would like to be able to jump in as much as I can and show experience, having nearly 20 years entrepreneurship experience and having a lot of pull in the different steps, and then being able to use them since bootcamp as well, so we can share that experience, I think will be valuable, especially since we're going to be looking at doing a similar sort of bootcamp in South Africa. I've been chatting with Sanjay and the rest of the guys, and they're like, yeah, go do that. So the question that I had for this was this material specifically just for the MIT alumni, or are people from the general public going to be joining and viewing as well? I'm not sure what's set up?
Yes, this is a question that was raised last time, and we thought that because we're prototyping it and it's experimental to keep it just amongst ourselves for the moment, and then without excluding the idea that if it goes well, that we can then maybe reach out further outside of our circles and bring in different sorts of speakers. But we have no idea how it's going to actually play out, so it might not be a good idea to kind of be too ambitious the first time round. But I was also thinking is that because we might not have a speaker for each step, or someone who feels like they can actually bring in a personal project story, one angle to look at it would also be to take a corporate story that might not even be related to us and sort of maybe pass it through the sieve of one of the steps and just use it as a point of discussion. So if we end up having some parts that don't have a speaker for it or a specific case. And then another idea would be probably to bring in some mentors or some people who have actually taught us at boot camp. So if any of you have direct warm relationships or are friends with some of them, maybe it'd be nice. So we will have Bill stepping in at some point for a while to kind of chat with us. And I'm trying to find to work with Dean's personal assistant to find a slot in his schedule as well. So we have this probably the two of them will be jumping in at some point, and we don't really know when, but it doesn't matter because we're giving them 24 hours to choose from, right? Yeah. And I'll just read out, so Abhijit is in his office and he can only type in the chat. So I'm going to read out his presentation for all of us. He's from, so Abhijit is from Detroit, Michigan. He writes, I work as a design engineer at Ford Motors. I'm from Tokyo 2019 boot camp, and his passions are space, tech, and education innovation. Thank you, Abhijit. Who would like to speak next? We'll just do popcorn style. Whoever wants to speak unmutes and just jumps in.
Hi guys. Hi, I'm Diego. I speak from Brazil. I'm a chef here. I work as a chef about 12 to 13 years now. I speak from my restaurant here. And I went to Beyond Food Boot Camp in 2017. And I also work with AI, and I'm also a developer, so I really love tech. And when I saw the post on MIT group on Facebook, I got interest about the work that you're doing, and I think I can help. That's why I'm here.
Wonderful, thank you.
Of course, I love food. That's it.
Thanks. So we also have a restaurant background. That's wonderful. Yeah. Andres, would you like to speak?
Okay, hello. My name is Andres. I'm from Medellin, Colombia. I was part of the first cohort of MIT bootcamps, which was the pilot, actually. And I'm excited to see how this is going and how this is evolving. And actually, that's the main reason why I'm here. I'm very passionate about connecting people, connecting knowledge, and connecting complex systems in order to really unleash the full potential. I really loved what Rachel said about connecting the threads to make fabric. And fabric, for me, it's trying to find solutions to the most complex challenges we have and we share as a globe. So I think one of the things that I still remember from the early letter is that they said that the MIT mission is solve the world's greatest challenges with science and technology, and they invited us to be part of that mission. So in my mind, I feel part of that mission, and I feel this community as part of the mission. So my aspiration is to be useful enough to contribute, humbly contribute, to really unleash the potential we have and solve these greatest challenges with all the skills we have. And for me, this 24/24, it's a great way to connect on a tangible thing and build something together and get tangible outputs that engage us, and then start doing so many more things about together. Cross cohort, which is one of the things that I very interested in on connecting cohorts as well.
Thanks, Andres. Andres, right? Shantanu, would you like to go? Did you get my, so we're doing the quick intros, saying where you're dialing in from, what's your passion or your work focus, and what attracted you to the 24 Hours Project?
Yep. Thanks a lot, Rachel. I think I messed up. I joined a little late. And yep. So I'm Shantanu, and I'm from India, and from the class of. I'm a little confused on what year because I'm pretty dazed right now. But class of 2019, Brisbane. Yeah, that was, I'm guessing, February this year. And I work in the education, and I've worked in the education space quite a bit. And now I'm in the HR space of things. And as everyone has already put through, I do AI too, and a lot of people are doing it here. And attracted to the 24/24 project because it's something that brings back the experience of the boot camp as is, all in a day. Because it was there 7 days. It was split into 7 days over there, and it's very hard to recreate the entire experience without bringing in everybody back to the same place. So one way we could try to emulate it in some way is to crunch everything in one day, because it gives you the entire effect of what we went through in those 7 days, because nobody had any sleep. And it's probably going to be similar, because if we have to run through the entire 24 hours in a day, we might, as a lot of people, I personally did sleep in some classes, so we could probably skip a couple hours, come back, and it's going to be very similar to the experience. And that's something that really attracts me.
Oh, so you are planning to do 24 hours?
I was thinking about it because a lot of people, I spoke to some people about it, and it is interesting to go through the entire 24, like just scrape through it like we did in the week, just sitting there, don't know how much we're taking in, but we're still sitting there.
I like that image of scraping.
I'm also seriously considering it. I'm taking the day off to just sit there for 24 hours.
Wow, you are a brave lot. I was already trying to think like we need to divide it into at least 4 or 6 sections that like people are going to commit to be holding. But maybe we should do that anyway, and then who wants to be on 24 hours can do. But it was kind of, exciting but crazy too. So yeah, let's see. I might need to wake up once every hour anyway because of the recordings. I don't think a 24-hour recording would work, and then it would be impossible to edit. So we would need to stop it and start it again. Who hasn't spoken? Miyank, did you want to do your presentation? Or whoever else. I'm not quite sure who is able to speak and who not. Philippos, are you? No, you were on the train, right? You said you couldn't talk. And someone's dialed in from the telephone, it looks like. I see a phone number, but I don't know who that is. Or maybe just some people are just listening in. So, Giovanni, would you like to say hello and introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I am Giovanni. I'm from Bootcamp 7. I'm originally from Italy, and I currently living in Spain. And daily activities regards the MicroMaster credentials that I I'm taking, and this is 24 hours in all 24 steps is very interesting, because to wrap up everything could be nice, and I'm waiting for to start.
Thanks, Giovanni. So it seems to me that the general consensus is that there's a consensus around this 24 hours thing, because I was starting to have my doubts, and my husband was saying, are you really going to stay up 24 hours? And I heard 2 questioning voices in a message from the community, and I thought, oh no, what's the point? Like, why are we doing this? And I was kind of doubting, but I did come up with a few alternative scenarios. So one would have been like 2 events a month, so every 2 weeks. Oh, is someone trying to speak from the phone? I'll stop and let you speak. I saw your, yeah, your line. Hi.
Hi, this is Panya.
Hi, Panya.
Sorry, my iPad or my computer doesn't work, so I had to go through my phone.
No worries. It's great to have you. Do you want to do a quick presentation like we did last time? So you say your name, your class, where you're from, your work area, and what got you excited?
Sure.
About
Sure. Hello, everyone. I was told that there are 12 of us in this group right now. And my name is Panya Dandevi. I was born in Cambodia. I came to USA in 2004. I'm class 4 at MIT, August 2016, I remember. And my field is in education.
And what got you excited about the 24 hours? Why are you doing this crazy thing with us?
I think it really helped me to remind me all those 24 steps about the business and about the learning process and how we can start from step 1 to step 24. And of course, connection to all our friends around the world.
Thanks, Panya.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you. So yeah, so we could do 2 events a month and do it in a year, or we could do 1 event per month and decide. But the thing is, if we decided each time by crowdsource, like which one are we doing, probably we'd keep doing the same steps. So this was also an attempt to push ourselves into those spaces, that because we did also see when we had the survey results that there were people gravitating towards primary market research and the persona part and parts that we're more familiar with, because probably we all kind of all the people who tried to create startups, including myself, we went through the first steps and then we got stuck, so we never went beyond that. And product validation and all that, and then building the end steps, we never got to that. So there's also this thing. So yeah, so I guess maybe we could just take it from this point that those of us who are here today, we have the energy for doing this, and we're all used to failing anyway. So if some parts are failed, it'll be fine. We'll just learn from them. And so Tommaso, who couldn't be here today at this time, he also shared some notes that and some suggestions for this call. I said, Tommaso, help me, because this was your idea and now I feel like I'm holding it and it's really heavy, and what can we do? So he couldn't participate today, but he sent in some points, and he said, so make sure on the call, if we're able to, it'd be really good that we define some tasks and ensure that everyone is responsible. So it's also a question of bandwidth. I know that some people have more sort of on their plate than others, but if we can define tasks and responsibilities and accountability, then each person could be taking care of one area of the project, so that then, you know, the sort of to-dos are split up. And I think we can also just surrender to the fact that it's going to be imperfect. But the important thing is to start to get the ball rolling. So it's not going to be one of those slick conferences. I know that in the beginning we threw out the idea we wanted to create a page with the panelists, with the bio and the photos. So unless someone's like really keen on doing that, maybe we let some of that slip, and maybe that could be something we do afterwards once we have all the materials and it's after the conference. To do everything like a real online one of these really cool things that some organizations do. We can't really aim for that, I think. And we could either discuss, so for each step, we could either discuss a case provided by one of us who has first-hand hands-on experience, or it could be a discussion, a more abstract discussion about the step, or it could be something that someone has tried out but didn't really get beyond it. If there's not a case study, or if you're doing a project and you're stuck on that step, sort of like we did in the alumni hacks. It's like, I'm stuck on step 7. I want to brainstorm with the rest of you. What can we do about this? So maybe this could be a decision that's made by whoever will be moderating at that moment in time of the 24 hours. Also, I wanted to ask you all today about what's your take on pre-recording videos? Because in our last meeting, Dan Katzenberger suggested it might be good to create a little batch of videos that we ask people to send in, so that we also have something to fall back upon. So first of all, some people want to speak about something, but they can't be on at that time. So if they have a recording, their presence can be brought in, and it'll also be something to chat about. But I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts around the actual logistics of doing this? And is there someone here today who is motivated to take on this task? And we could also decide it's a nice to have, and we just see how far we can get with it. And if we finish it, we have something great. That'll be also one of the deliverables. If not, then we'll just see what we get to. But is there someone here, like, just I'll let you kind of throw out your comments about the video part.
Yes, I would like to say something. Because I think that would be very challenging in terms of organizing it. I think it would be better, since we know who will be in charge of facilitating which step. If someone has something that they would like to say but cannot participate, that you just send it to that person. So maybe we should just have a list of emails or somewhere where it would be easy to find and know that someone has something to say about the step that that person is facilitating.
Okay, yes, because there are people who did want to speak about something but couldn't be on at that hour. Some people want to contribute but will be traveling or won't be able to participate. And Abhijit is saying he'll be recording only because he'll be traveling to New York City for his cousin's graduation. So I think that the presence of videos is going to be a plus and good to have. It's just I'm wondering how much effort do we put into it. I rather like making videos. So I think it could also be at the level of just people sending in selfie recording.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, I'm precariously driving and with my child in the back, but I wanted to chime in on the videos because I'll be making one. I found a free trial of software that is for kind of webinars, and I think the videos, for at least from a presenter perspective, is a great idea, because then we actually have something like of us where we're teaching, right? And we can refine it to make it better. And like, I'm looking forward to using it in my own like portfolio. And so we can use it for different purposes. I'm just wondering how I guess I'll be the test case on how we get it to you and integrate it into, this hour. How long should the video be? And then is there going to be someone, making sure it plays and then leading a Q&A or something like that after it?
That's a good point. Yes. So Q&A. Today, Abhijit actually launched something in the groups. He set up a quick survey to collect questions. That could also be the starting point for creating the videos, because once we all have this collection of questions, it could actually spark ideas around what we want to talk about. So also another, yes, so Abhijit typed into the chat, it would be a good idea to have a deadline for pre-recorded videos so that by 20th of May we know what we actually got. And yes, you're right, Liz, we need to sort of make sure that each video actually...
Yeah, and the other thing I was thinking of was if our topic builds off the topic of another, right? So I'm doing competitive position and it's talking about your core. So if the person that's covering your core, if we knew ahead of time, like what example they were going to use, we could reference it in the next one. So if people are, so there's some kind of continuity, or you're building off of what you've learned before, depending on when that presentation hour is. But I think that's just like taking the initiative to reach out to the person on the list that's handling the topic that you're touching on as well, right? Or
yes,
leveraging.
I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of improvisation, customization. So as you say, if someone is taking proactively this sort of stance, then it will be up to, say, if you know who's coming before you and they've recorded something, or you want to get in touch with. We're keeping all the documents really open and accessible, so we can really maximize interactions and any sort of cross empowerment that could occur. But clearly, this is not something that a small group could be. We need to just let things happen. And
I have a question.
Sure.
So are we just considering pre-recorded videos for those who couldn't make it at that hour, or for everyone?
I think we could say that those who can't make it will, if they're keen to contribute to that step, that they'll have to send in a video. Otherwise, they can contribute. And then for those who will be participating, they can choose, and they can maybe even do both. You might want to create one part which is recorded and one part which is spoken. I mean, I would leave that really open to each person to decide, because I think we're not experienced enough to say this is the format and this is the best way it's going to work. And it also depends on personal preference, I think. So I would really leave this open. Yeah.
Okay.
That answer your query?
Yeah. Because I was under the impression that... Sorry?
Oh, sorry. I'm in transit. I'm going to bounce off for a few minutes, but then come back on.
Okay,
all right. Bye. I can figure out.
So once we're really good at this, maybe we can say, like, this is the proven format and let's do it this way because that's the best way. But I think we're really in experiment mode. And so we can see what works just by trying it out. We won't really actually try it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Frederick. I see that you've dialed in. Just wanted to acknowledge. He says, hi, hey all. Can you speak, Frederick, or are we just going to read out what you type? Sorry, desktop mic is busted. Okay, but at least you can listen in. And if you want to type anything, we'll read it out. Oh, wait. At this stage, he's a fly on the wall for the most part. Okay, that's fine. And Shantanu says, "Yo, Fred." Okay, so videos. Let's decide that those who want to send in videos need to send this in by 20th. I'd say that's the latest. It'd be better even a little bit before that, and we will publish that in the recap. And let's just see what starts rolling in, and maybe we can then have a look at the situation in next week's call, which, by the way, next week's call, we always have people who can't participate in the time slot. So someone in Australia, I think, said, oh, that's too late because I'll be sleeping. So the next one will be in the morning in Europe, and I'm going to take a little bit of time off to do that. But we're just going to kind of rotate the time slots to make sure everyone can get there. Diego, please speak. Yes, you don't need to ask for permission to speak. So please.
I would like to say a few things because I already did some online events. I organized the first gastronomy congress, online congress here in Brazil. I'm on the 3rd edition of this event. Last year we had about 100,000 people online watching the event. We asked about 32 chefs and people that worked on gastronomy area, like food bloggers and other areas to speak. And I need to say a few things because I think you have to think about, I already tried to make a 24 hours event. It's really difficult because you don't have the retention from the viewer. So you have to think about that, because if the objective is to just join us as students that were in the boot camp, I think people will watch, but the retention is really low. I think we have a few other blueprints that work very well. One is 3 days event that you go about 8 hours each. And the other one is a 5-day event that you go about 6 hours, 6 to 5 hours to 4 hours each day. And you make a week. So I think if the I don't know what the objective for the general objective of this event is, if it is to educate other people that didn't go to the boot camp, I think we have to make easier for them to watch, and we can make a pre-schedule in a week of event. So we can call it, I don't know, MIT 24 Steps Summit. And you go a week and we follow an agenda. I don't know if I'm speaking right or clear, but...
Yeah, it's very clear. But just one comment is that we're not doing it for externals, we're doing it for ourselves.
Oh, okay, perfect. So even though if it's just for ourselves, I really think the retention of 1 day is really low. And if it's just for ourselves, we have to make it quicker than we can. I got the idea about 24 hours. But I really think that 24 hours event is really, really difficult. Perhaps the best way, I don't know, is just a suggestion, is to do an agenda and people can log in and try to fulfill that agenda. I want to watch the I don't know, the topic that I was going to talk about is about the monetization strategy. So I want to watch monetization strategies. I can log in that hour that will be on time. When we talk about an event that we have approximately 24 people speaking, you will have a lot of trouble to put the presentations together. You see, it's really difficult to do it online, live. I think that won't work because it's very, very difficult. You have to fulfill 25, 26 people agenda to speak in an odd order. So it's really difficult. The best way I really think is to get the videos and the presentations before. If you want to, the best way I think is to record the screen of the computer, and maybe they use the webcam to record themselves. And if they have problem with audio, they can also use the cell phone to record the audio, and they send you 3 files: the audio, the video, and the presentation while they speak. This will be easier for people that don't have this approximation with video and recording. Because when speak about presentations, sometimes people are not that easy or comfortable speaking in front of the camera. So the best experience for us that are going to watch is this. And later, after a block of 3-4 presentations, we can have a call. And the best way I think to do that is with Hangout. Because on Hangout, you can put 3, 4, 5 persons speaking and calling like this, but you can have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people watching, and they can ask on the commentaries of the video. So if you want to take, I don't know, a Q&A, we can do a Q&A in batches of 3 presentations, and you get these teachers speakers that spoke to discuss about their themes, and this way you have 3 or 2 events live. But if you want to do everything live, it's very, very difficult. I really wanted to put these ideas on the air. I had to go now. I'm really behind my schedule. I opened today, so I had to go do some stuff. Bye for everybody. Nice to meet you all. If you want to ask me about anything, I can help you with all that I said. I'm really experienced with that, but I have to put it on my agenda. So please,
okay.
Later, okay?
Thank you so much for your inputs, Diego. Have a good
I hope I've helped a little bit. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye. Bye for now.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
So there's a couple things I want to point out that I think we're kind of glossing over. One, this 24-hour period will be daytime for everybody in different time zones. So we're all thinking about, if we do 8-hour blocks, we're going to run into the same issue that we're having right now trying to schedule this call, where that 8-hour block is not going to be, it could be nighttime for an entire group. So the 24 hours eliminates all of that. And I love the idea of doing the pre-records, because I know that if any of these topics are still open, I don't mind jumping in. I'm sure some other people don't mind jumping in, doing a pre-record, and then having somebody host a discussion for the other half hour that allows us to continue to go on with the whole 24-hour idea, which is, yes, it would be easier to break it up, but honestly, the 24 hours, that's kind of a challenge, which is a lot of what the bootcamp was about, was challenging ourselves to do something that is not easy, that is extremely difficult. So I would just like to put that out there as, my thoughts anyway.
Thank you. I resonate with that as well, because as Diego was speaking about the 8-hour blocks, I was also thinking that's only from one perspective, because we do have this challenge which is inherent in our community, which is that we are all in different time zones. So this would actually be the only time. I'm so aware that when we have a meeting like this one, there's always someone who would really like to be here who is just excluded because of technical reasons. So the 24 hours kind of just overrides that obstacle by just embracing the whole 24 hours. So I think, yes. And also I think if we're open to just not seeing this so much as a conference, but more like an online dialogue for who wants to come into the room and chat. It's not meant to be, a super high level, high quality presentation. It's more about us coming together and saying, this is working for me, this isn't, and what do you think, and what can we come up with together? So, but I think it's very valuable that Diego does have this experience that he can share with us, and maybe that could be factored into a future iteration. Yes, Andres?
Yes, one of the things that I was thinking about is that perhaps Diego's perspective is from the perspective of someone who is leading the whole thing and wants to manage it from this perspective. But I think one of the things that we should take into account is that for this to be successful, it should be distributed equally by many people, and we should take ownership of all. It should not be only about you, Rachel, otherwise you will not be able to manage all of this. And not just, but also tomatoes, also, only, and stuff like that. So each one of us must be accountable and must be responsible for at least some part of it. And that allows to think on something as crazy as 24 hours, because on some time it can be comfortable for someone. So I think that's one of the key things to consider in terms of the mindset that we should have. Another thing that I was thinking is that two things. One thing is that I saw a message from Gloria on Facebook, and I really liked that she opened the question about who wants to share this experience about this particular step I'm hosting. And I will give you credit about this particular step during the 24 steps. So trying to map these kind of things that are doing the host on the facilitators can be something that we can share with others in order to get these kind of mini experiments within the big experiment and have more engagement within the 24 hours and not necessarily much more effort. The other thing that I was thinking is that since the very beginning, we saw that there were empty slots there are many, but there are less now than last week, and I'm happy for that. But I was thinking that one of the slots that was empty was about core assumption and stuff like that. And I started studying again the core assumptions to be able to perhaps do some pre-recording and stuff like that. But I may do a recording about that. I would prefer to have some sort of conversation with someone. Might be a 20-minute conversation with someone, and then someone do a Q&A after that. But since at the beginning of this, I saw that some of the people in this call want to challenge themselves and try to see if they can be for 24 hours in this, I think would be kind of counterintuitive to show them a video if they are already engaged with the prior hour. And we can cut the engagement just by showing them something that doesn't go with the flow. I was thinking about that just when I was going to talk. So how can we manage that?
Maybe for this last question is that if we have someone who is going to be the moderator for that time slot, then it's up to that person to decide. They might know they have this video for this time slot, and then they decide whether to use it at that point or not, because also within the span of a whole hour, it might break the flow if you show it at the top of the hour, but maybe after half an hour of flowing into the new conversation, when that conversation has come to a natural end, then it could be, let's pull out this card now. So I think it's like having cards in a bag, and you pull them out if they're necessary. And I think it wouldn't be wasted in any case, because even if it's not shown during that step, it could always be used, repurposed again into the community when we go and build the archive.
I think in that regard, something to multiply our capacities, we could have some sort of team of facilitators for 2 or 3 hours and stuff like that, and slots like that. Not necessarily a facilitator for each hour, but a facilitator for this. Someone who's in charge for making the flow going of this part of the stuff. Perhaps we can leverage our existing capacities by thinking that way. Having someone in charge of the facilitation of slots, and having someone hosting this particular step, supporting this person. So perhaps can be something tricky, but useful to leverage the capacities with not necessarily aspiring to have everyone on board just on the planning side.
So how would you suggest, what could be the next step on this idea? Would it be to kind of slice up the 24 hours into...
Perhaps apply to be a facilitator. And depending on how many facilitators we have, we can split the 24 hours in the number of facilitators we have. And they will only be in charge of being in the flow and recording the session. So.
Right. So we did have a timesheet with underneath the actual speakers. There was another table for who wanted to be holding the space. Did you see that in the timeline mapping document? So we had slots for facilitation and slots for.
Okay.
We decided that maybe it was too complicated, and we would blend the two figures into one. But maybe that's not a good idea. Because then it's a different kind of holding, right? Holding the space is one thing, and making sure the space is working in terms of participation, and subdividing up the time and the energy, and then someone who has to focus on speaking about the topic. But then again, that could also be different in different moments of the dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Perhaps we can ask to the facilitators if they can facilitate more than 1 hour. That can be an easier point to follow up.
Yeah, I'll make note of that. So facilitate more than 1 hour. I'm aware that we're at the top of the hour, so I wanted to make sure that I wanted to read out this that Frederick typed. He says, I think if we could have all sessions recorded, it would deal with the participation issue. Not sure what you mean by. Do you mean pre-recorded, Frederick, or recorded for afterwards? Not everyone should speak. Question mark. Guys, help me. What is? I'm not sure I understand. And then key here is to get a monster recap and opportunity to connect after the session, the particular session.
I think that was just him answering to Digos.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm reading it a little bit late. He typed this. Oh, it's text to Diego. Okay. Muddled, sorry. So, yeah, so maybe the first thing to do in a practical sense is to open up the facilitation for bigger time slots. And then, of course, we're not asking anyone point blank now, but I think maybe we should nail down some sort of a little team that's going to be driving this in a way that, so Frederick says, if we could have everything recorded and published, it would be awesome. Yeah, Frederick, that is like the objective. We're striving towards that, and we'll see how near to the mark we get. And so maybe what I'll do in the recap, so we're going to, the session's been recorded, we'll share it for you to watch again if there's something you want to look at again, and for those who wanted to be on and who couldn't. And then maybe we'll just ask people to, again, maybe sort of consolidate their commitment into the areas that they want. So I hope we're all used to working in Google Docs, right, because we did boot camp. So I'll be sharing the documents. We need to just consolidate the moderation part. And then I think I'll put the call out. So I've received already one video from Giovanni, thank you. And for other people to start sending in their videos, so we create our little video backup stock. And then we hold maybe another meeting. I was thinking we need to have one weekly meeting until the very last week, just so that we keep rolling things, keep them moving forward. But as Andres, you were saying, little by little things are kind of falling into place. It's like a puzzle. And if it turns out that it wasn't, it wasn't great, that's fine. I'm used to failing. we can take that, and we can we'll find something out of it. And just check.
Learn as we go. We're all about learning as we go.
Experiment the way forward. And I'm aware that there's some voices that we heard less. So Philippos, I hope that your train ride is going well. And TC, I hope you were able to listen in. If you're still here, I guess you're hearing. And Frederick has saying one more thing. Side note, where is Wayne Stridham from? I need to catch up with a fellow South African boot camper. Okay.
Originally from South Africa, but living in the UK now. But yeah, totally, let's catch up.
Cool. Yeah, so there's always the connections going on in the background, which I think is one of also the most exciting parts of this whole community. And do we want to take like the normal ritual group photo to post? Does anyone want to reappear on camera? Oh, great. Then Shantanu, are you able to show us your lovely face again?
One sec, yeah.
Abhijit, you can't, yeah, you said you couldn't. And Frederick and Philippos, even if you can't speak, can you show us your face from inside the train?
So I'm back from the train. I picked my kid over a road that had a very bad network. And then he jumped on a muddy puddle. So next step here is to just clean it.
Sorry, so are you...
Section.
Are you coming on video, Philippos, or not?
No, because I'm about to give a bath to my child.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were going to do this.
You don't want a bath here, obviously.
A bath. Okay, so
you know the game, yourself. You've been on it.
So 3, 2, 1, please. We just check that we got the screenshot. Oh, great, lovely.
I could hold up Fred's picture on my phone.
Cool. So thanks everyone for joining. Frederick says to everyone, "Bye." What's that, Frederick?
You want to take the picture again? Let me just hold him up on the...
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't see. Oh, great. That is clever. I like that. That is called creativity. Wait, no, but it didn't. Let me see if I caught it. Yes, I've got it.
Awesome.
Nice. Thumbs up from Frederick. So thanks to everyone. I'll post the notes. I'll share the documents and hopefully see you again next week. Those of you who can make it, and I'll also put out a document for people who can just say I'll be there for sure. And then we know what we're going up against, and we keep putting a shape around this piece of clay. So Abhijit says please be sure to fill the Q&A. So the Q&A is now posted in the Mighty Networks and on the Facebook alumni group. And everyone, please remember the deadline on 20th of May for sending in new videos. But if you can send it in tomorrow, that's even better. Okay.
I'll work on it this weekend.
Great. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Bye, Rachel. Thanks for organizing.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Coming on.
Bye. Thank you for everything.